Kapukubil Murubuai, family, friends, and extended guests around the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. For those of you tuning in, welcome to my first episode on my podcast channel titled Kasa Let You Know. Okay? Don't ask me how I got the name. It was just cause. This is it in a nutshell. Basically, I'm Kasa letting you know about what's going on within the community. Also, Kasa letting you know what's going on within the world. And Kasa letting you know what's going on just in general. I'll have some people come on here and we'll just talk about random stuff. But at the same time, we really like to talk about important things. So that's a bit. I'll talk a bit about it later. But before I begin anything, okay, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which I am situated on today. I am in beautiful Gimoy, known to Markai people as Cairns. That is where I'm situated. Gimoy is a traditional language name given to Cairns. So if you go into the airport, you'll see that. Okay, if you travel to Cairns from Sydney, for example, or Brisbane, it'll say Minjin or to Gimoy. Prime example. I'd like to acknowledge the elders past, present, and emerging of the area in which I'm on today. I'd like to give an extended acknowledgement out to the elders of the neighbouring clan and tribal groups that surround the Cairns area. And I'd like to give a really warm acknowledgement to Lag Zenat back home in the Torres Strait, particularly from the islands where my grandparents are from. I'll talk about them a little bit after. But just FYI, for those of you who don't know what an acknowledgement is, the importance of an acknowledgement for all you Karens out there is basically acknowledging the fact that every blade of grass, tree, that land of dirt that you just built your house on has a story, and people lived here before we did, long time before we did. So it's acknowledging the fact that we're on their land, we're in their home, and we're just visitors here. Yeah, you may have built that 2-story house on that block of land, but at the same time, there was a huge clan group living there before you were. So Kasa, I'm gonna let you know that's what's going on. Okay, acknowledge country. If you don't acknowledge country, then you're disregarding the thousands of years that families lived there before your family did. The truth hurts, okay? If you can't handle the truth, just keep, you know what I mean? Keep in your lane, okay? So this is basically what you get an insight of my podcast now. Okay, I talk about them kind of thing. I'm not afraid. And if you talk to me in real life about it, I'll tell you the same thing. So that's the importance and why I do it, because there's a spiritual connection to everything. Okay, when you go to someone's house, it's important that you knock before you walk in. Yeah? Capiche? What? Yeah, you knock before you go in the front door. Okay? Duh. You wouldn't want someone just walking straight in your door without asking for permission to come in. That's why it's always important that you seek permission to go to certain places and then you acknowledge the fact that you're a visitor there. FYI. Just FYI, Karen. Okay, a bit of personal information about myself. I was born and bred here, like I said, born and bred here in Cairns. Been luckily and fortunate enough to live here all my life. My parents were born. My mum was born here, but my father, he was born on TI, on Thursday Island. My mother has lineages to Erub, also known to Markai people as Darnley Island, in Mua, Kubin village to be precise, and also Yeah, that's it, eh? Yeah, just them two islands. That's from my mum's side. But I'd also like to acknowledge my grandfather. He's a Polish man from Sydney. He was born and bred in Sydney in a little suburb of Georges Hall. So that's where he grew up. And I'm very blessed to have him in our life because we have a really, really strong cultural connection to our Polish background too in our family, and we practice our culture through food. We eat a lot of Polish food. So you name it, we got it. A lot of sauerkraut. I've eaten a lot of sauerkraut in my life. From my dad's side, okay, both my grandparents are from the Torres Strait, Zenith Kes, Zenith, whatever suits you or you've been taught to say growing up. I respect that, whatever you want to call it, but I grew up saying Zenith. Zenith Kes is something I'll bring Uncle Pat on. That'll be another one of my special guests to bring on, Uncle Pat. He can explain that more thoroughly than I can. But we'll get into that later on down the track a few weeks from now. Both my grandparents from my dad's side are from the Torres Strait. My grandmother, she's from Boigo Island. My late grandmother, she's from Boigo Island. Miss her dearly. Also, my grandfather, who is still healthy, fit as an ox, is a Badu Island man, and he was born there and lived there his whole life. I'd like to give a shout out to my adopted parents on Masig, my father Yase Mosby, and my siblings there and mum there. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my parents who live in Adelaide. So I'll get to the Adelaide situation, parents, after. So why I started this podcast, people asked me, I'm sorry, the mobs who have been messaging me non-stop, asking me where they can find my videos, my vlogs, my episodes. I'm sorry, it's been a while. I've been doing some editing. I also have a 7-week-old that we don't really get much time. Anytime we can, I just cut and edit some little videos here and there. So, why I started this podcast, I like talking a fair bit. And if you have an opinion or you have a voice to talk, I was always taught to talk, and I was always taught that, but I never really voiced my opinion much. Only to people, when I was having a one-on-one conversation or something like that. So this is just another way for me to outlet and just talk to my family or my friends, whoever I got on, my guest speakers or whatever, about certain issues that surround our community, which go on to my next topic, which we will talk about in the next couple of weeks, is issues that are surrounding our community. Particularly black issues, like being Indigenous in a community that just feels you're already doing something wrong, you know what I mean? And I can understand that, and I've been that kid in this little community of Cairns, and this is the reason why I started podcasts, is to get people's opinions on how, you could probably, young people could watch this podcast and then, get some ideas off here. By all means, my audience is anyone who's willing to listen to what I have to say. If you don't like what I have to say, I'm sorry you feel that way. But at the same time, I don't care. Because Kasa let you know this is how I feel about the topic. But if you ever want to reach out, this episode here is just basically just to let you know this is what I'm doing. So from now on, if you ever want to reach out and come on to my podcast, come on to my series, and we can talk about certain things, we can write up some ideas we can talk about. Man, I'm more than happy to have a yarn, man. I love it. I love yarning, particularly over a cup of tea. So I got the tea bags, the hot water, the sugar, the milk. You just bring the yarns. But yeah, basically, thank you from the bottom of my heart for everyone who's tuned in tonight. I'm really not sure how these podcasts are supposed to go, but I keep getting tips off my better half about, how to be a better vlogger, I guess. Baby, Baba. She's probably in bed. But vlogging is not my forte, and it's just one of those things that I always just wanted to do. So I try to see if she would come in and tell me what she was trying to tell me before. But yeah, shout out to everyone who is watching. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you on my next episode. Like, share, subscribe the hell out of this. Esa for your time. Have a good night. And yeah, well now